Oftentimes when I do a bedbucking video, it's on some usually on some people that I wanted to do one for a long time, especially with the amount of buck dancing that they have done over times. And then sometimes I do ones on people that I sometimes surprise myself that I'm doing one on. This is one of those times where the latter and the former kind of mix together, more so the latter rather than the former. So the newest entry on the bedbucking Hall of Shame has to go to LeBron James. Now you're probably wondering, Taurean, why are you inducting LeBron James of all people into the bedbucking Hall of Shame? Some of you like, I'm surprised you didn't do one sooner, but this one I just could not ignore because it's something that I've seen a lot of black people say when it comes to certain situations. But when you have someone who is in the higher status, I guess you can say that same exact thing, and they rarely speak on other injustices when it falls upon them, then it's like, okay, you have to say something. And shout out to Dewan B, because he actually was one of the few, if not the only person I saw do a whole stream pretty much dedicated to what I'm about to talk about when it comes to LeBron James. So we all know what happened with Tyre Nichols, and we all know about the people that are involved with that. And, you know, the media is, you know, pushing their own little narrative as they usually do. But LeBron James got on Twitter, and after, you know, the body cam footage came out, he put out this singular tweet that had a lot of people, especially a lot of black people, very upset with him with what he said. Now, I don't know if the tweet is still up or not, but the screenshot of it is floating around on Twitter. And that tweet says, in all caps, "We are our own worst enemy." That's what it said. That singular line has been something that has been plaguing the black community for decades. Whenever there is an incident of even proximity crime, because that's what it is, that's involving black people, you always have someone, whether they're on a high tier or a low tier or a mid tier, that will say black people are our own worst enemy. We all, you know, we're doing it to ourselves. This is why people don't appreciate us. This is why everyone else is ahead. And it's like when you say stuff like that, it's like you're sending a dog whistle language to other people who already can't stand us anyway, to try to say, see, I put something out there and hopefully you can look at me and realize I'm not like those other Negroes. I'm the safe Negro. Please treat me more kinder and more nicer than them. And by me saying this, maybe they'll look past all of my transgressions. I hate to break it to you, LeBron, but it doesn't matter how much wealth you've amassed. It doesn't how many records you break or how many championships you win. You will still be seen as a nigga. And that's what I'm going to need a lot of these celebrities, people in Black Hollywood or entertainment to really get through their heads. You can still be treated like everybody else. You just have the resources to get yourself out of certain situations some of the time, because it doesn't work for everybody. Look at Bill Cosby. Perfect example of that. And Bill Cosby's fame and celebrity supersedes many of the ones of today by miles, no matter what genre of entertainment they fall into. Everybody knows who Bill Cosby is. Granted, everyone knows who LeBron James is, but that's besides the point. Remember what happened to Dr. Dre when some random white guy was parked in front of his yard and Dr. Dre wanted him to leave, and the white guy called the cops on him, and who got put in cuffs? The person who owned the house. A lot of people forget that. I didn't forget that. And Dr. Dre, I think net worth, well, it's up there as well. You know, LeBron James, he's now officially a billionaire too. So their net worths are like kind of neck and neck with each other. But that's besides the point. Dr. Dre is a wealthy man. LeBron James is a wealthy man. And they're not going to stop on account of you. Just because you are, quote unquote, trying to get black people in line. That "we are our worst enemy" line is what I call the "get black people in line, or the "get black people in check" line. That one liner right there gets on my nerves. That's one of few, but that one right there is almost pretty much near the top of it. And the reason why I say that is because just last week, and I'm recording this on January 29th, 2023, we had not one, but two mass shootings that occurred in California, in Monterey Park and Half Moon Bay, where both suspects were Asian men, and the primary targets, whether random or not, were Asian citizens. And nowhere did I see any famous, well-known Asian celebrity come out and say, out of their mouths, or on Twitter, or any social media platform, and say, we are our own worst enemy. I swear that line is designated for us. When these mass shooters happen that are white, go and they commit these mass shootings against those who are also white inside of these schools or wherever the location is, you do not see mainstream celebrities who are white come out and say, we are our own worst enemy. That only happens with us, which is how I know that line was designed and tailored to fit just us. I'm curious, who was the one that coined that? If someone knows that the answer to that question, can you please put it down in the chat or in the comment section? Because I'm curious who came up with that line. I'm very curious. Now, another reason why LeBron James is entered into the bedbuckkken Hall of Shame is not simply because of him saying that line and people being upset with him for saying it. It's the fact that when it comes to injustices that fall upon black people, like it did with Tyre Nichols, but the culprits are not black, he would not go out of his way to say something like that, or say something like, oh, they need to be fired, they need to be charged, and all this, that, and the third. A lot of people was upset with LeBron James when he took very little action when it came to what happened with Tamir Rice, considering that happened in the same exact city and state in which he was playing for at the time when it came to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The same could be said for John Crawford, because that too happened in Cleveland a few months earlier. Oh, what did they do? I think they wore their jerseys inside out. Wow. Okay. The most people thought he was going to do was say, you know what, I'm not even going to play in this game. You know, let's postpone it, or I'm just not going to play, and sat out. That's what people wanted him to do, but he didn't even do that. All he did was play with his jersey inside out, or they wore their jerseys inside out. What kind of pushback is that? That's like equivalent to getting pinched. It hurts for a little bit, but it stings, but it's not going to leave a mark. Like, that made no sense, and a lot of people was very upset with LeBron James about that. And there's a host of other things as well. And let's not forget that LeBron James, you are the same person who always seems to be a target of lamestream media when it comes to certain things, like, you know, with Laura Ingraham saying just shut up and dribble. Granted, you took that slogan and turned it into a profitable thing, which I said was a smart business move. But it's amazing how they'll say a lot of stuff about him, and they love to harp on LeBron James a lot about any little thing, and he rarely says anything. But then this happens, and he puts in all caps to black people and saying, we are our own worst enemy. That's like that finger wagging thing that other higher up black people who have wealth and status love to do to us low tier black people, and saying, you know, we are, you know, the worst of the worst. Stop making me look bad. If you can make yourself look bad, that's on you. I keep telling people black people are not a monolith. We're just not. And for him to sit up there and say that, that was very disrespectful. Because again, if these other groups of people, are not going to say it, I missed the group, if the South of the Bordarians, if there's a crime that happens against them, against their own, from their own, who's going to be the top tier elite celebrity that's going to come out and say, we are our own worst enemy? Newsflash, you're not going to see it. You only see that come from us. They know who to trot out there to say certain things. Why do you think they put Jason Whitlock on there with Tucker Carlson, and he said the crap he said. Why do you think they had Stephen A. Smith on Fox News? And I didn't even know he was on there until I saw Rob over at Blacklight Revelations play a clip from his interview that he did. Why do you think they put people like him over there? Because they know exactly who to go to. They know not to put someone like myself up on there, because I'm going to tell it like it is. Or anyone from the new black media for that matter. And see, the fact that LeBron James said something like that, they would probably reach out to him for a statement, because he said exactly certain key words or a whole key statement of what they would want him to say of someone who would be right for them to talk to. But then again, because of that thing with Laura Ingraham and she's still over at Fox News, he probably wouldn't go. But he might show up on another platform, sitting up there talking about we are our own worst enemy. Every time something happens with black people, from an individual of a black person or a couple of people, somehow, some way that turns from what they did to a we thing. So it's just basically saying something that we all act like that. That's what it translates into, that we're just all a bunch of savages. Well, if we're talking about we, LeBron James, are you throwing yourself into that category of being a savage as well? Because I notice a lot of people that love to trot out that phrase, we are our own worst enemy. For some reason, that we doesn't encompass them or the person saying it. When they say we, they're really talking about everyone else but them. They won't say that though, but we know what you mean. We know the trick language. We know the lingo. All I'm going to say is this. LeBron James better hope that his son or his sons or his children don't end up in a situation like that. Because I would hate for someone to come out and say to him that we are our own worst enemy.